Hello everyone. This video will show you how to make a live looping template in Ableton using a single instrument and a few of Ableton's looper plugins. Here we have a track labeled as our audio input with its output going to a group channel. Now the group channel is optional for a single input, but when you add more instruments or sound sources with multiple loopers for each source, group channels will let you apply effects to all of the tracks for that instrument. In this example, the color purple matches a group of controls in MIDI Designer on an iPad, which I've already mapped to Ableton's reverb and delay. Now we're going to map 3 instances of Ableton's looper to a data looper, which is a pedal that provides visual feedback for the current state of the loopers. The relabeling on these tracks is so the pedal can communicate with the loopers, but the labels can be added to any existing track names you're already using. We've switched the input source to our audio input track, switched the monitoring to auto to avoid feedback, arm all 3 channels, and then add the loopers. Next we'll switch on MIDI mapping in Ableton, and we'll map the first button on the pedal to the record play button on the first looper, the second button to stop, and a long press of the second button to clear the looper. And we're going to repeat that for the other 2 loopers. Then we'll switch off MIDI mapping in Ableton and test everything out. I also like to have my loopers go into playback after recording rather than overdub, so I'll switch that here. I'd also like to add another reverb and delay on my audio input, in case I'd like to record a loop with an effect already applied. I'm going to map their on-off switches to this blue section on the iPad, as well as the effect amount and the wet and dry mix. One last important step I forgot to mention earlier is to make sure to switch the looper input-output feedback to never. We'll be using a Moog Grandmother as our main instrument, and we're starting with a lot of reverb to create the illusion of a held chord. Now in the corner of the screen you can see the looper will continue to play through its own reverb, since this track was intended to be used for these opening chords. And here you'll see Ableton will determine a bar length and tempo based on that loop. For the bass loop, I'm dropping the oscillators down an octave, and I'll switch the screen in Ableton so you can see the bass looper plugin. Ableton's global quantization is set to 1 bar, so this looper will start recording at the beginning of a measure, and we can continue to monitor the tempo with visual feedback from the data looper pedal. For the third loop, I'm going to add some trills with some delay recorded directly into the looper. I'll switch the view to the bass looper so you can see how it stops at the end of a measure. And before stopping the rest, I'm going to add delay and reverb to the whole group channel, which will let the loops trail out. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and check the link in the description for a no-talking version of the performance in this video. Also, check the description for a link to download this Ableton session with the audio loops from the Moog still loaded into the 3 loopers. Thanks for watching, and I hope you find this demo useful.